What's up, guys? Mike Powell with another episode of Dock Talk. I told you that if I wasn't on a dock, I was going to be near the water or something to do with water. Today we're going to talk about boats. Yesterday I was talking about the houseboat, so I figure I might as well tell you about the ski boat. Heard a little bit about it. Let's get you the run through on that. So yeah, there was a boat sitting in my mom's driveway for a little bit when I was a teenager. As I started to get older, like as I got my driver's license and things like that, we got to go out here and there, like a few times during the summer, but every time I would ask to go out, a lot of the times the answer would be no. Whether I was in trouble or something like that, you know, I wasn't able to take the boat out or go out on the boat often. So I'm just about 18 and I kept asking, hey, you know, this boat's been sitting in our driveway for over a year, hasn't been touched. Like, you know, I'm like, hey, what's up? Can I take the boat out? And they were like, what are you going to tow it with? So I'm like, all right, yeah, you know, good answer. So I hustled my ass off and I went and I got a truck. So I get this older F-150, right? And I'm banging, I show up, I'm like, hey, like I got this truck from my ex-girlfriend, thank you. Her dad sold me this truck and had four-wheel drive and everything. It was super nice. And I was able to tow boats, right? So I'm like, hey, I got a truck now, can I tow it? And they were like, no. So this dude I knew who was hanging out at the shop often that I rode for, the dude who owned the shop says, Mike, you should go out with this guy. His name's Mike also. You should go ride with him and see what's up. You know, a couple people said that he'd be a good match to go riding with you. So I go out on the dude's boat one day, out on this one, and he does like a couple of flips, like two-handed flips, and like he couldn't really like consistently land a 360 or anything yet, and but you know, he had lots of potential and he was going in the right direction with it. So yeah, so we're hanging out and I ended up hanging out with this kid and we'd ride almost like 3-4 times a week. He was still in high school. It was really cool. It was his dad's boat, but his dad made sure he took really good care of it. And it didn't have a tower on it at the time, but it used to have a high pole and a couple fat sacks. And so, you know, he was like, hey, go over to my house, hook up my boat. I'll meet you at the lake when I get out of school. So we did that for a little while, and I stacked up a stack of receipts. Every time you'd go to the Santa Clara County lakes, like where I grew up riding, you'd have to pay for parking or a launch pass, unless you had a season pass. But still, if you had a season pass, they'd give you like a little thing to put in your windshield. That way they knew, like, you know, they wouldn't ticket you or tow your stuff. And so I stacked up like over 50, probably like, I want to say like 80 something receipts. Like we're going all the time. So I stacked up a bunch of these little receipts and I go to my mom's boyfriend. I'm like, yo, dude, like I got all these receipts. Can I take the boat? And every time I've towed the boat to the lake, launched it, towed it home and everything, parked it, put it away, you know, I haven't destroyed anything and haven't got any tickets or anything. Like, can you help me, right? And can I take that boat out? Nope. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of lame. So, you know, a couple months goes by and then I'm like, dude, why aren't we taking this boat out? I'm like, hey man, are you tripping off fuel? Like if you want, like I'll pay for fuel. I'm already hustling and had a couple part-time jobs. So I'm like, dude, let's get it. Like, I'll pay for the fuel. Can I go? Nope. I'm like, dude, what's up? Then why do we have this boat here? And then come to find out it wasn't insured. So I'm like, okay, hey, if I pay for insurance and then put some fuel in it, can we go? And now my mom's looking at him like, dude, the kid's like trying to pay for it and trying to go, like, why can't we go? And it was just a no. So I'm like, dude, well, what the fuck? And so I moved out. To over at my dude's house and we started riding almost every day. It was really cool. And thanks to him and his dad, you know, kept me on the water and got me a lot of water time and closer to the lake. They lived like 10 minutes from the lake. It was really sick. So that cut my commute like drastically. And so it was really cool. So I would ride with this kid all the time. And after a while, you know, his dad was like, hey, you know, I'm stoked that you're graduating high school. I'm going to give you the boat. So he gave the kid the boat. So me and him are riding almost every day. We got this boat now. We met a couple of these other guys, and these other guys moved into the house with us because his dad was moving to Hawaii. So we all move in, and then like we're riding for a little bit, and then these guys started like going to the lake without me, like without calling me, and I'm just like, okay. So long story short, they sold the boat to the neighbor across the street without telling me. Like, I wanted a boat for a long time, bro. Like, what's the business? And so they sold it, and I'm like, dude, what's up? And they used the money as a down payment for a brand new boat. And at this time, like the budget boats, this is like when boats were going from like ski boats and wakeboard boats to like base model wakeboard boats being $70,000. And so, you know, the industry kind of took a turn for the worse or for the better, depends on how you look at it or what side of the spectrum you're on. But, you know, as the rider coming up, you'd want like something affordable, right? Or something you could throw lots of money on fuel and less maintenance. But a lot of these boats were big and just like you needed to get a new truck just to tow it and things like that. It was a little absurd. So they got this new boat, and I'm like, dude, what the heck? You know, some things went sour, and I ended up moving out of the house. And so I'm working part-time at this auto shop so I could get some skills, right? So now I started my skateboard business, and I'm thinking I'm like on the verge of something here. I'm like, okay, well, I really want to teach some lessons on my own. I was already like working for the camp while I was living with this kid. And I'm like, dude, I just, you know, I want to run my own lesson program. That way I could ride all the time by myself. And, or just, you know, on my own terms. All I really wanted was for my stuff to pay for it all year long so I could ride for, you know, kind of make a wash. I wasn't really stoked on like, or pumped on trying to make like excessive money. I just wanted to make enough to ride. Really, that's all I wanted to do. And so I'm on Craigslist, right? And I'm like searching for these boats, and I was only looking for like 2-3 different ski boats that I knew I could afford, and then from there I could like dope them out, and like I could wakeboard and wake skate behind. And so I'm working part-time at this auto shop because I knew where I was going. I wasn't going to be able to afford no new truck or new boat or anything crazy like that. But I had enough skills from driving cars and working with guys who worked on cars and drove cars also, that they were like, bro, you could, you know, you'd get a high-paying shop job for the stuff that you know. And I didn't know, you know, because I didn't have my experience, so I didn't know. So I go to work part-time at my buddy's shop, and really I worked for a lot less than I was worth. But like I said, just so I could gain the experience and do the things that I thought were necessary to move on to the next level. So as I'm working there, I'm saving a little bit of cash, and I'm living out of the car. And I lived out of a car for the back of my 240 for like a couple months. I also had my mini truck, and I was like, both of those were too small to live in, so I got a van, right? And traded my mini truck for a van, got a van. I'm like, all right, cool, now I got a van to tow the boat. I'm living in the van, then I could get a boat, and then I could go live in the van with the boat at Discovery Bay, and I'll be cracking. So I get going, and shoot, I found this boat on Craigslist, right? So this is like the ideal thing. So Nautique made this boat. This is the Ski Nautique 2001 model. This boat, mine, with the rope rub rail right here, is from '89. But they made this whole throughout the '80s. And they used to call it the concrete wake. And the reason they would call it concrete, you know, it was so firm. That's what you want in a wakeboard boat or a wake skate boat, so you can like push off of it. Just like, put it like skateboarding. Like you don't skateboard on dirt because it's soft, right? You don't want it to be soft. You need concrete. You need it hard and something that you could push off of. So there was other companies that were making decent boats and stuff, and you can add like lead to make the wake a little bit more firm. But ideally, you don't want to put a lot of lead in your boat. It's not good for the hull. And if your boat goes down, like if your boat was insured, like, and you pull your boat out and there's lead in it, you ain't getting no money from insurance. So, you know, so I find this boat, right, on Craigslist from this dude across the street from where I used to live. And I was living with dude, right, and they sold it to the guy across the street. He was a dad, went out with his buddies, only, you know, a few times a year, but more often than the average guy. And they took good care of the boat. They took way better care of it than we did when we were kids, just beating on it and stuff. Anyways, I called the guy, didn't have no money yet, right? And or not enough. And I called the guy, and he's like, yeah, man, love to, the boat has only been online for like 5-6 days. It was just like, it was a trip, right? So I call him, and he's like, yeah, you know, we're gonna go out on Sunday. You should come out and come ride and see if you like the boat, you know? So I'm asking like dumb questions about it. I already knew about the boat because I'd ridden behind it almost every day for 5 years. So I called the guy, I'm like, yeah, man, you know, I'll be there on Sunday. Let's have a cool shred, and, you know, we'll talk about it. We get out there, and I let everybody go first, and I'm just, you know, asking these normal like maintenance questions and things like that. And then he's like, all right, man, go for it, get out there. And I go out and I go shred, and The wake was super small at the time. They, like I said, these guys didn't like wakeboard often, so they didn't have like a big ass wake or nothing. But I'm doing like fives and just a couple big things and flips and stuff, and they're going nuts. They're going nuts. I get in the boat, and I only rode for like 10 minutes. It was kind of cold that day, so I ride for like 10 minutes, get in the boat, and they're like, "Dude, how come you didn't tell us you could ride like this?" You know, and the guy was telling me before I went out. He's like, "You'll like this boat, man. It has lots of potential. The wakeboarders who I bought the boat from used to do like 720s and crazy big flips and double ups, and these guys know how to get down, man. So if you know how to get down, you can do it." And so I didn't tell him till I got in the boat, and I was like, "Hey man, remember when you were telling me about the dudes who used to live across the street? I rented a room there for a while, man." And he's like, "Oh, no way, blah blah." I'm like, "Yeah, dude." So I knew about the boat from the get-go, and he's like, "Okay." And I said, "So here's bottom line, bro. I ain't got the cash, but I can make you payments. Like, can you work with me?" He's like, "Dude, I'll write up a little contract. You could take it right now if you'd like, though." He's like, "You can take it as much as you want till it's all paid off. It's gotta stay here, though." I'm like, "Okay, no worries." He's like, "But if you want to take it out, you could bring it back and park it in my driveway. No worries." So I was really excited. He was a really cool dude. And so yeah, he did a bunch of maintenance to it and got the boat tuned up better than it was when we were beating on it. And so yeah, then I was really excited to get this boat, and I still really am excited. Right now it's sitting on the trailer just because it's a little bit cold and we don't get to ride all the time during the winter. Well, I'd still be down to go. It's sunny right now, but people are working and things like that. It's like Tuesday at noon, right? Anyways, so I've got like an oversized prop on this. I got a 14x16 right hand spin, chunky 3-blade. Let's see if I can show you right there. Boom. Yeah, that thing's bad, man. This little boat normally comes with like this boat's only like 19 feet, a little over 19 feet. But when you slam it with weight and stuff, the stock prop, just like you're running at like 2,800 RPMs, just burning through fuel. With this big prop right here, I can load this thing down with like 4,000 pounds of weight, and it trucks at like 2,400, just brrr, like super smooth. Wake smacking at 78. You know, you can do anything you want behind this boat. And so yeah, that's when I got this thing. And right before I had moved out of that house, we had taken we got this tower from our buddy Ricky Renaru. He was buddies with all of us, and he would come out often just to come wake skate. He's a motorcycle rider. Dude's badass. But yeah, he had this tower sitting around his yard, and he's like, "Yeah, you guys should take it and throw it on the boat." The boys chopped it up and bolted it onto the boat, and I mean, that's all you need. It didn't have a bimini. We didn't have a bimini, but I got this one off Craigslist for 50 bucks. I was pretty pumped on that. Dude did a little bit of trailer work to it. Got it all dialed in. And so that's the story on how I got this boat. I'll show you guys a part 2, and I'll give you guys a part 2 on boats and things like that. And my buddy Matt's doing a car prep series. He's vlogging the build of his new race car for the next season, and I figure I might as well. I got some plans for my boat too, so I'm going to do a quick little something along with that with my boat. But stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. It's another episode of Doc Talk. Mike Powell here. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. It'd be really cool if you guys subscribed or shared my video. Until the next one, guys. Thanks.